I was sitting on my couch, wrapped in a blanket that smelled vaguely of regret and nacho cheese, scrolling through Instagram like a normal, well-adjusted adult. Okay, fine, I was stalking. But not in a creepy way, more like I'm just casually checking to see if my boyfriend has posted anything interesting way. Totally normal, totally healthy. Jake had texted me earlier, "Babe, gotta go, tutoring session, super important, can't miss it, love you." Tutoring? Since when does Jake tutor anyone? The man once asked me how to spell Wednesday, but I didn't question it. I'm a supportive girlfriend, a chill girlfriend, the kind of girlfriend who doesn't freak out over every little thing. Except, of course, when I saw the photo. It was a tagged post from one of Jake's friends. There he was, sitting at a cafe, looking all handsome and carefree. And next to him, Emily, his first love, the one he totally doesn't think about anymore. And it's ancient history, babe, I swear. Yeah, that one. My stomach dropped. My heart started racing. My brain short-circuited. Okay, Mia, don't panic. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe they're just catching up as friends, over coffee, at the most romantic cafe in town, sharing a milkshake with 2 straws. Because that's what friends do, right? I zoomed in on the photo like a detective in a bad crime drama. Yep, that was definitely a milkshake. And yep, they were definitely sitting at the table, the one in the corner with the fairy lights and the view of the sunset. It was like they were in a rom-com, except I was the unwelcome sequel nobody asked for. I debated what to do. Call him, text him, show up at the cafe and accidentally spill coffee on him. Or maybe I'd just sit there and silently judge him while eating an entire slice of cheesecake. Who knows? I was winging it. But one thing was clear. I couldn't just sit there and do nothing. So I threw on a hoodie, sunglasses, and a baseball cap, transforming myself into the world's most unconvincing spy. I looked like a low-budget Jason Bourne, but with less muscle and more emotional baggage. As I headed out the door, I texted Sarah, my best friend and partner in crime. Emergency, Jake's with Emily. Send help and wine. Sarah replied immediately, OMW, don't do anything crazy. Too late. The cafe was only a 10-minute drive away, but it felt like an eternity. My mind was racing. What was Jake doing with Emily? Why did he lie about the tutoring session? And why, oh why, did they have to share a milkshake? Who even does that anymore? I parked my car and took a deep breath. Okay, Mia, you've got this. Just go in there, assess the situation, and do something, anything. Just don't cry, or throw a chair, or cry while throwing a chair. I walked into the cafe, trying to look casual. Like I wasn't there to spy on my boyfriend. Like I wasn't wearing sunglasses indoors like a weirdo. Like I wasn't about to have a full-blown emotional breakdown. I spotted them immediately. They were at the table, of course. The one with the fairy lights and the view of the sunset. Because why wouldn't they be? Jake was leaning forward, smiling at Emily, like she'd just invented sunshine. Emily was laughing, tossing her hair like she was in a shampoo commercial. And there, in the middle of the table, was the milkshake. 2 straws, 1 glass. I felt a wave of nausea. Or maybe it was rage. Or maybe it was the nacho cheese from earlier. Either way, I was not okay. I sat at the table next to them, trying to blend in. I ordered a latte and pretended to read a book, but really, I was eavesdropping like my life depended on it. And oh, the things I heard. Jake was saying things like, I never stopped thinking about you, and maybe now's our time. Meanwhile, I was sitting there sipping my latte, trying not to scream, hey, remember me, your actual girlfriend, the one who listens to you talk about your fantasy football team for hours. But no, I stayed quiet. Because, you know, I'm classy like that. Or maybe I'm just paralyzed by the sheer audacity of this man. Either way, I was sitting there mentally drafting my breakup speech when suddenly, oh, this is the best part, he saw me. Our eyes locked. His face went pale, like literally pale. I think he might have passed out if he weren't sitting down. And what did I do? I smiled. A big, cheesy, oh, hey, fancy seeing you here smile. Then I waved, like an idiot. Because what else are you supposed to do when your boyfriend's caught red-handed with his first love? Cry? Throw a chair? Nah, I waved. Because apparently I'm the queen of awkward situations. I sat there, sipping my latte and pretending to read a book, but really, I was eavesdropping like my life depended on it. Which, let's be honest, it kind of did. My relationship was on the line here. My dignity too. But that ship had sailed the moment I put on these ridiculous sunglasses indoors. Jake was leaning forward, his voice low and intimate. I never stopped thinking about you, he said, and I swear I felt my soul leave my body. Cool, 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 I thought. So, he's rewriting their love story while I'm sitting here like a discarded side character. Great. Emily was eating it up, of course. She was smiling like she'd just won the lottery, tossing her hair like she was in a shampoo commercial. And then she said the words that made my blood run cold. Maybe now's our time. Maybe now's our time? I repeated in my head, my latte cup trembling in my hand. What is this? A Hallmark movie? Are they about to kiss in the snow while a choir sings in the background? I texted Sarah, emergency, Jake's with Emily, send help, and wine. Sarah replied immediately, OMW, don't do anything crazy. Too late. I was already plotting my next move. Should I confront him? Should I wait and see if he'll confess? Should I call his mum? Yes, I'm that petty. But before I could decide, Jake did something that made my heart stop. He reached across the table and took Emily's hand. Oh no, I thought. This is bad. This is very, very bad. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I wanted to throw my latte at them and watch as the foam dripped down their smug, milkshake-sharing faces. But instead, I sat there frozen, like a deer in headlights. Or maybe like a raccoon that's just been caught rummaging through a trash can. Either way, I was not handling this well. And then, as if things couldn't get worse, Jake looked up and saw me. Our eyes locked. His face went pale, like literally pale. I think he might have passed out if he weren't sitting down. And what did I do? I smiled. A big, cheesy, oh, hey, fancy seeing you here smile. Then I waved, like an idiot. Because what else are you supposed to do when your boyfriend's caught red-handed with his first love? Cry, throw a chair. Nah, I waved. Because apparently I'm the queen of awkward situations. Jake stood up so fast he knocked over his chair. Mia, he said, his voice an octave higher than usual. What are you doing here? Oh, you know, I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Just thought I'd grab a latte. What about you? How's the tutoring session going? Emily looked confused. Jake looked like he was about to pass out. And I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and despair. It's not what it looks like, Jake stammered, which, let's be real, is exactly what someone says when it's exactly what it looks like. Oh, I am sure it's not, I said, nodding like I believed him. By the way, I think your tutoring session is running late. I stood up, grabbed my bag, and walked out. Head held high. But inside, I was a mess. My heart was racing, my hands were shaking, and my latte was spilling all over the place because apparently I can't even have a dramatic exit without making a mess. I got into my car and just sat there for a moment, trying to process what had just happened. Jake had lied to me. He'd been with Emily, and he'd been holding her hand. What am I supposed to do now? I thought. Do I confront him? Do I break up with him? Do I key his car? Before I could decide, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Jake. "Mia, we need to talk." "Oh, we're way past talking," I muttered, tossing my phone onto the passenger seat. I drove home in a daze, my mind racing. What was I supposed to do now? How was I supposed to feel? And why, oh why, did they have to share a milkshake? When I got home, I immediately raided the freezer for ice cream, because if there's one thing I've learned from rom-coms, it's that ice cream is the ultimate breakup food. I was halfway through a pint of Ben and Jerry's when Sarah showed up with wine and a sympathetic ear. "Okay," she said, plopping down on the couch next to me. "Start from the beginning." So, I did. I told her everything. The Instagram photo, the cafe, the milkshake, the hand-holding, the awkward encounter. And when I was done, she just looked at me and said, "Men are trash." "Amen," I said, raising my wine glass. I was sitting on my couch, surrounded by empty ice cream containers and crumpled tissues, when Sarah walked in with a bottle of wine and a look of pure determination. "Okay," she said, plopping down next to me. "Start from the beginning." So, I did. I told her everything. The Instagram photo, the cafe, the milkshake, the hand-holding, the awkward encounter. And when I was done, she just looked at me and said, "Men are trash." "Amen," I said, raising my wine glass. We spent the next hour dissecting the situation like it was a crime scene. Sarah was my emotional detective, asking all the right questions and offering all the right advice. "So, what are you going to do?" she asked. "I don't know," I admitted. "Part of me wants to confront him and demand answers. Part of me wants to ghost him and never speak to him again. And part of me wants to go full-on Carrie Underwood and key his car." Sarah nodded thoughtfully. "I vote for option 3. "Tempting," I said. "But I think I'll start with option 1. I need closure. Or at least I need to yell at him for a while." Sarah handed me the wine bottle. "You're going to need this." I took a long swig, feeling the warmth spread through me. "Thanks," I said. "You're the best." "I know," she said, grinning. "Now, let's plot your revenge." We spent the next hour brainstorming ideas. Sarah suggested everything from sending him a glitter bomb to signing him up for a lifetime supply of cat facts. But in the end, I decided to keep it simple. I'd confront him, tell him how I felt, and then walk away. "It's not about revenge," I said. "It's about closure, and maybe a little bit about revenge." Sarah laughed. "Atta girl." Jake showed up at my apartment the next day, looking like a kicked puppy. He knocked on the door, and I opened it, ready for battle. "Mia," he said, his voice soft and pleading. "Can we talk?" "Sure," I said, crossing my arms. "Let's talk." He stepped inside, looking around like he was expecting me to throw something at him, which, to be fair, was a valid concern. "I'm sorry," he said, running a hand through his hair. "I know I messed up, but it's not what you think." "Oh, really?" I said, raising an eyebrow. "Because it looked like you were on a date with your first love, and it sounded like you were telling her you never stopped thinking about her. So, please, enlighten me. What am I missing?" Jake sighed, looking defeated. "Emily and I are just friends, I swear." "Oh, so you share milkshakes with all your friends?" I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "Cool, good to know." He winced. "I know it looks bad, but nothing happened. I needed to see her, to talk to her, to figure things out." "Figure things out?" I repeated, my heart sinking. "What does that even mean?" Jake looked down at his feet, his voice barely above a whisper. "I still have feelings for her, but I love you too. I'm just confused." "Wow," I said, my voice trembling. "This is worse than I thought. You're not even sorry, you're just confused. And I'm just collateral damage." Jake reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "Don't," I said, my voice firm. "You don't get to touch me right now." He looked hurt, but I didn't care. I was too busy trying not to cry. Mia, please, he said, his voice breaking. I don't want to lose you. Too late, I said, my voice cold. You already did. I walked to the door and opened it, gesturing for him to leave. Take your milkshake romance and get out. Jake hesitated like he was going to say something else, but then he just nodded and walked out. I closed the door behind him and leaned against it, feeling the weight of everything crash down on me. I slid to the floor, tears streaming down my face, and let myself cry. After Jake left, I spent the next few days in a fog of ice cream, wine, and bad reality TV. But eventually, I realised I couldn't just sit around feeling sorry for myself. I needed to do something, anything. So I decided to focus on myself. I started going to the gym, not because I particularly enjoyed it, but because I needed an outlet for all my pent-up anger and frustration. And let me tell you, there's nothing quite as satisfying as pretending the treadmill is Jake's face. I also took up a new hobby, pottery. Because why not? I figured if I was going to reinvent myself, I might as well do it with clay. Plus, there's something incredibly therapeutic about smashing a lump of clay into a wheel and turning it into something beautiful. Or, in my case, something vaguely resembling a bowl. I even dyed my hair. I went for a bold, fiery red, because if I was going to be the girl who got her heart broken, I might as well look fabulous doing it. Sarah was my cheerleader through it all. She showed up with coffee and donuts after my first pottery class, and she was there to celebrate when I finally managed to run a mile without stopping. "You're killing it," she said, handing me a donut. "Jake's an idiot for letting you go." "Thanks," I said, biting into the donut, "but I'm not doing this for him. I'm doing this for me." And I meant it. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was in control of my life. I was stronger, happier, and ready to move on. One day, while I was at my favourite coffee shop, I ran into Emily. She was standing in line, looking as perfect as ever, and, for a moment, I considered turning around and leaving. But then I remembered I wasn't the one who had anything to be ashamed of. So I walked up to her and said, "Hey, Emily, can we talk?" She looked surprised, but she nodded. "Sure." We found a table in the corner, and I took a deep breath. "Look, I know this is awkward, but I need to know the truth. What's going on with you and Jake?" Emily sighed, looking genuinely remorseful. "Mia, I'm so sorry. I had no idea you two were still together. Jake told me you'd broken up months ago. He said you were just friends." "What?" I said, my heart sinking. "He told you we were broken up?" Emily nodded. "I wouldn't have gone out with him if I'd known. I'm not that kind of person." I believed her. She seemed sincere, and honestly, I was too tired to be angry anymore. "Thanks for telling me," I said. "I appreciate it." Emily smiled. "For what it's worth, I think you're better off without him. He's not the guy I remember." "Yeah," I said, nodding. "I'm starting to see that." We ended up talking for over an hour, and by the end of it, I realised we had a lot in common. We both loved coffee, hated cilantro, and had a soft spot for cheesy rom-coms. "This is weird," I said, laughing, "but I think I like you." Emily grinned. "I like you too. Want to grab lunch sometime?" "Sure," I said, smiling. "Why not?" After my unexpected bonding session with Emily, I felt a strange sense of clarity. Jake had lied to both of us, and while that didn't make the situation any less painful, it did make it easier to let go. A few days later, Jake texted me again. "Mia, we need to talk." I stared at my phone for a long time, debating whether to respond. Part of me wanted to ignore him, to leave him hanging like he'd left me. But another part of me knew I needed closure. So I texted back, "Fine, but you're buying the coffee." We met at the same cafe where I'd caught him with Emily. It felt poetic in a way, full circle. Jake looked nervous as he sat down across from me. "Mia, I am so sorry," he said, his voice trembling. "I messed up. I know I did, but I love you. I want to make this right. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my emotions in check. Jake, you lied to me. You lied to Emily. You hurt both of us. And for what? Because you were confused? That's not an excuse. He looked down at his hands, his face pale. I know. I don't expect you to forgive me. I needed to tell you how sorry I am. I nodded, feeling a strange mix of sadness and relief. I appreciate that, but it's not enough. I deserve better than this, and so does Emily. Jake looked up at me, his eyes filled with regret. I know, and I'm sorry. We sat there in silence for a moment, the weight of everything hanging between us. Finally, I stood up, feeling a strange sense of finality. Good luck, Jake, I said, my voice steady. I hope you figure things out, but I'm done. I walked out of the cafe, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. It was over. Finally. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of self-discovery and growth. I threw myself into my pottery, creating pieces that were messy and imperfect, but uniquely mine. I started running regularly, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. And I spent more time with Sarah and Emily, building friendships that felt genuine and supportive. One day, as I was sitting in my favourite coffee shop, sipping a latte and sketching ideas for my next pottery project, I realised something. I was happy. Truly, genuinely happy. I didn't need Jake. I didn't need anyone to complete me. I was enough, just as I was. Sarah walked in holding a box of donuts and grinning like she'd just won the lottery. Guess what? She said, plopping down across from me. What? I asked, laughing. I just got us tickets to that pottery convention you've been talking about, she said, sliding the box of donuts towards me. Consider it a celebration of your newfound independence. You're the best, I said, grabbing a donut. But you know you didn't have to do that, right? I know, she said, grinning. But I wanted to. You deserve it. I smiled, feeling a surge of gratitude. Thanks, Sarah, for everything. We sat there, eating donuts and talking about nothing and everything, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like everything was going to be okay. As I walked home that evening, the sun setting behind me, I realised something else. I was proud of myself, proud of how far I'd come, proud of the person I was becoming, and as I unlocked my door and stepped inside, I knew one thing for sure. This was just the beginning.